Hey, welcome back to the Garage Werewolf Show. It's Saturday afternoon, November 12th, possibly, 2022. A lot of stuff's been going on. Um, can't remember what it is, but I remember things have been going on. Let's see. Last time we met, maybe it was a week ago, I don't know. I didn't make the Wednesday night four color fossils show on the Graphic Man channel. My wife wasn't feeling well, so then there weren't many people that showed up Wednesday, so I feel bad about that. But anyway, uh, that's one thing that happened. Let's see. I met up with Captain Strangelife, and we had a great lunch, and I'm creating some paintings for him in exchange for a comic book. And he sent the comic to me, and it just arrived a few minutes ago. So we'll have an unboxing today, and I'll be showing you some comics that I'm alphabetizing. I need to put into the because just when I thought I'd alphabetized everything, I found two boxes of mishmash of comics that I'd forgotten about. So I have to alphabetize these and then put them back into there. So that'll be something to do. When we last left off, we were looking at some comics downstairs. I think we were just about to look at the Werewolf by Night comics. We could do that today, providing we have enough time. I think we will. So, what can I show you here? Here's a pretty cool comic from 1967. I just unearthed Dennis the Menace in California. So, what I'm needing to do, I thought I just saw an empty box here. Where did I put that? I'm going to create a separate box for these Dennis the Menace comics. Believe me, I need it because I have a lot of Dennis the Menace comics. Because I loved Dennis the Menace when I was little, when I was, 5, 6, 7, well, for quite a few years. And I bought all the paperbacks I could get and all the comic books I could get. And one of the things about Dennis the Menace is it was forbidden. Because my mother had been a school teacher until she married my father. In the 50s, that was common for women to have a career, and then they get married and they immediately resign, and then they become housewives and moms, and that's just the traditional way things were. The Dennis the Menace comics, she thought, well, he spoke in improper grammar, and I might pick up the improper grammar and all that, and so she didn't like me buying them. So therefore, I became more obsessed with them, which is just one of those things. It became forbidden. I see my wife is calling, so let me go see what's going on. One moment. Let me set you down, and I shall return. don't know how to edit shows, so she had a question. She thought the plumber had arrived. The plumber was supposed to come yesterday, but never did. I imagine maybe he'll come Monday. I'll call. Anyway, oh, shit. So, Dennis the Menace, yeah, wonderful. Okay, what else we got here? This is some free magazine. Put your cat clothes on about rockabilly music. But it looks like it's when is this from? Probably from the 1990s, I'm imagining. It seems like this is kind of more about new rockabilly music and 1994, yeah. Anyway, so I never get rid of anything. So this Ronnie Dawson that did Rockin' Bones was a Dallas rockabilly guy, and my friends were. I have a good friend who was good friends with him, and he would come over to my friend's house all the time and play guitar, and it was that was quite a thing. Anyway, this is January, February '95 issue. What else we got here? Bunch of yeah, in the '90s there were all kinds of yeah. See all these Pompadour press, and then on the back is like a monster kind of deal. Yeah, these are just same thing here. Low Straitjackets were really good, and then it flips over and it becomes a magazine about B movies and, you know, exploitation films. So that's probably interesting. Okay, great. Here's some fanzine about that new show, that '70s show. How about that? From 1998. This is the Dallas Fantasy Fair's flyer. Bulldog Productions in Dallas. Dallas Fantasy Fair was a pretty big deal. They had Bernie Wrightson that summer, Don Simpson, man, the creator of the Golden Age Green Lantern. So that was the 1994 Dallas. No, when was this? 93. All right, look at these people coming up. Sergio Aragones, you've got Gene Colan, Gil Kane, Butch Patrick, David Prowse, Brink Stevens, David Sim. Al Williamson was there. Butch Patrick isn't that much of a big deal to get at a convention in Dallas since he lives in Austin, or at least back then did. Here's a Something Weird catalog. Something Weird was the source to get DVDs and VHS of all the great movies like She-Man and movies like these. All the movies that played in dirty movie theaters in the 50s and 60s. Oh, this was a really good DVD. It was all trailers for these great movies like there's all that noise outside. Must be the neighbor fixing his house. It's nice weather outside. It's about 28 degrees. We had kind of snow flurries this morning. Yeah, they would send these catalogs out all the time if you were on their mailing list. Now everything's done on the internet, but in the old days, it was great because you had these physical representations of things that you can look at now and see what were the movies that were available in the mid-1990s. How are you gonna? There are ways to go. There's some place that's a repository of everything that's been on the internet, and you can look at a web page and what it looked like in any given day in the 90s or 2000s. But I don't know how to do that. And if I want to get news, and I just like physical objects. Here's the Sinister Cinema catalog. They were similar to Something Weird, except they weren't quite as, they didn't get quite into as much into the extreme perversity. You know, they'd have, it's all stuff that's mostly public domain. They had a lot of westerns and horror movies and stuff like Shriek of the Mutilated. I remember cutting that ad out of the San Antonio Light, or maybe it was the Express News, back in the mid-70s when I was living there. Let's see what we got here. This is the official publication of the Western Outlaw Lawman History Association. So this is a Western historical magazine. So you can read about Billy the Kid and Jack Slade, and it's their biggest issue ever, 36 pages. And Amok was a bookstore somewhere, probably in, where was it, Los Angeles, and they were also a publishing house, and they put out books on a lot of obscure, cool stuff, and a lot of kind of occult stuff too. So, you know, if you're into true crime, you know, there's Patty Hearst, or weird UFOs kind of stuff, that would be. Here's a catalog from a record company, Midnight Times, and it's kind of like, it's kind of in the format of the Monster Times, which I'm sure they were aware of. And it has, you know, today this would all be done on a website, but here's all the records that are available from this record store. And, but they were into cool music, you know, the good stuff, 50s, 60s. They were in New York. I don't know, maybe they're still there. I don't know. I mean, all this is like together, it's all kind of newsprint stuff. Here's the comic art and graphics gallery. Original comic book and comic strip art, paintings and illustrations. So this, you could order original art. Man, let's see what, it's Richard Halegua from Las Vegas, Nevada. You guys probably know who he is. So you could get the original art for that issue of Tales to Astonish. Yeah? Wow. Or Captain Marvel art. Do they have prices in here? Yeah, they do. So, get some Will Eisner art for $4,000. Dan DeCarlo, $300. The prices are going to seem. Reed Crandall art. Oh, that's up $850, $12,000. But this is the kind of original art that was available then. But you've got to adjust everything for inflation, which is a word I heard Joy Reid or someone like that say, that normal people don't know the word inflation. It's those mean Republicans teaching people the word inflation so they'll be unhappy. Because otherwise, they should be very happy with how the world is going right now. Anyway, yeah, there's a little bit of inflation going on, and there has been my whole life, ever since we went off the gold standard. Okay, so I traded. Well, the trade was I was going to do 2 paintings for Captain Strangelove, and for this comic I'm about to show you. And so one of them was to be a painting of Cthulhu. And while we're eating lunch at this diner on Monday, I didn't have to work Monday, so that was perfect. I was able to meet Captain Strangelove and his wife. And I said, well, what do you want the second painting to be? And he said, so, well, why don't you have Belial, the guy from Basket Case, being eaten by a plant? So, you know, so basically Little Shop of Horrors meets Basket Case. And so that was I thought, well, that's an interesting idea that I never thought of. So I've started the paintings. They need some touch-ups and stuff, and then I'll mail them off to him. And he's already sent me the comic that was in trade for that, and it is the third time that Hulk premiered. It's the big premiere issue. The first time he premiered it in the Hulk #1 around, what, 1962, and then of course he premiered in Tales to Astonish, and then until issue 101, and then with issue 101, with issue 102, Tales to Astonish changed the name to The Incredible Hulk. So this is really the beginning of him getting his, anyway, this is kind of a premiere. And this is a pretty big book. I don't have a whole lot of big books in my collection, but one of the things that's so wonderful about this is just the cover's so amazing. I love Marie Severin's art. She's one of my favorite artists of all time. And yeah, it's just a gorgeous cover. So Marvel had been restricted on how many titles they could put out by their distributor. And so they had to double up a lot of their heroes. You know, Strange Tales was Doctor Strange for half the comic, and it was Nick Fury in the other half. And then you had Tales of Suspense. It was Captain America for half the comic and Iron Man for the other half. And Hulk and Submariner shared Tales to Astonish. So Hulk kept the numbering of Tales to Astonish, and Submariner got his own comic that started with issue 1. And so this is, to me, he told me that this is about 7.5. To me, it looks, this is in wonderful condition. Beautiful. So anyway, I'll show you the two paintings I'm working on here in a second, because as I'm doing the show, I'm charging the phone enough so I can walk around with it. So that's cool. He also gave me a bunch of bags and boards, which I desperately need, and all that stuff. And so, okay. Oh, this is kind of cool. Look at this, safety posters. This is meant for school teachers. Now, some people, unscrupulous people that work in antique malls, would tear this book apart, and it's meant to. The posters are meant to be taken out, to be hung up on the walls of schools. But some people would take each one individually out and frame it, and then sell that with the frame in an antique store instead of selling the whole book. But let's take a look at it. Looks like some of like this had been hung up in a school once. You can see that's where the teachers put that, that little, looks like bubble gum, and teachers would use it to attach posters to brick walls that they couldn't nail into or whatever. Don't play with fire. And learn to know poisonous plants. Leave them alone. What does that mean? Look up when running. I've never heard that's a safety rule? Look up when running? Oh, maybe so you don't run into poles or tree branches. That's what that is. Yeah. That makes sense, yeah. I ran into my share of, I ran into a pole once while we were coming out of the PX when we were living in Germany, I remember. And I just all of a sudden, boom, and you get a tiny little cut around in this area, and blood just gushes down your face. I had blood pouring down my face, and I was stunned. And people were stopping their cars, asking my mom, "Do you need help?" Because it looks horrible. Like, that's what the wrestlers used to do in the old days, I guess before AIDS came along, and then maybe blood wouldn't be that good. But, what they wanted because I remember in the 70s on the newsstand, all these wrestling magazines, these guys were just drenched in blood, and it's like, what? It looks like they just got in a auto accident. But what they would do is they had little sharp, something a little sharp. I don't know if it was a razor blade or whatever, but they'd get each other in a headlock, and then they'd reach over, and then they'd cut the other guy, just a tiny little cut up above their hairline, and then blood would start coming down. And then the other guy would do it to the other guy, so they're all covered in blood. And that's how they did it in the old days. And then when the wrestlers got older, and some of them, lost their hair, and their hairline went back, you'd see all these. Did you hear that? There'd be all these cuts. There's a wrestling clock in the kitchen, and it just said, "You smell what the Rock is cooking." It always happens around, I think, 4 or 5 o'clock. So it used to be when my wife was cooking, he'd always say, "You smell what the Rock is cooking." It's a wrestling clock from the 90s, from the, what they used to be called, the WWE, until I think it's the WWF. And then the World Wildlife Fund said, "Hey, you're using our acronym." So they changed to WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment or something. Wait your turn. Yeah. These are all not attached, so I'd have to look to see if all the posters are here. I hope they are. I've had this for years. I'm fascinated with old antique, vintage teacher's supplies. Handle with care. Sharp tools are not playthings. Don't play in the street. What does it say down there? The street is no place to play. Many boys and girls are hurt that way. Stand back. I could probably make color copies of these and maybe sell them on eBay or something. I mean, people might be interested. I don't know. Pick up your toys. That might be good for someone that has, a big toy room with Star Wars toys and everything. Always swim with a buddy. Don't touch. And they're looking at poison. And danger. Keep matches out of baby's reach. Okay, let's see if they have a number on here. This is from 1957, by the way. It's set 1 primary grades in color. Does it tell how many are in here? Yeah, well, they have them all here. I know I'm not going to do it right now. Actually, they're not in the proper order. But so I could figure out if they're all actually present. It says $15 and then it's crossed out. So I don't think I paid $15 for this, but I don't know. What else is here I could show you? This is a cool VHS I picked up years ago, back in the VHS days. It's Pepsi commercials from 1946 to 1988. I'm sure all of these are available on YouTube now, but it's cool to have this. So there, YouTube. Yeah. What else we got here? Here's a picture disc of the Muffin Man with the farmer in the dell. Oh, this is a book I got when I was in 2nd grade in Hampton, Virginia. Planet Earth. I always liked this painting. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I was really into dinosaurs, and this is fun paintings. Volcanoes in the background. That's really, I should study this for, ideas, to things to put in the background of my paintings, because I don't really have. I've gotten a job that's kept me from doing as many episodes, so I'll have a little more income, but now we've got to pay back the debt we've incurred. Yeah, basically, I had retirement. I thought, well, I'll just live on my retirement, but then Biden inflation, which he says is really not happening, but things got a little expensive, so we started getting in a little bit more debt, so we can I want to wipe that debt out and then get to the point where things are cool. But as far as buying more shit like this that I've accumulated over the years, maybe I could do that. I could trade people for stuff that they have doubles of. Like the Captain Strangelove had several copies of that Hulk 102. He's keeping one, but he's sold one. He traded one to me. I think he still has another one that may be available. I'm not 100% sure, but he sold. If you got doubles of things, like I think he sold a Daredevil #1 and I don't know, did he sell a Hulk 181 maybe? He's a big time collector. He's got all kinds of stuff. So what is this? I think this is my wife's. It's a clothing catalog, Space Cowgirls, but it looks cool. And what it is they're selling clothes, but they've taken pictures of models and tried to make them look. They've tried to make this look like a men's magazine from the 40s or 50s, and so these are models of today or whenever this was done. And they've tried to make it look vintage, and then the girls can order these. This is 20 years old. April 11th, 2002 is when they're starting to ship that. Yeah, so anyway, I think it was hers. It might have been mine, but I think it was hers. But it does all these cool old ads, and so it wound up with my stuff, but it is hers, I do believe. Anyway, I'm putting these small books like that, I'm putting into special boxes. I started putting all this digest-sized stuff together. Here's a book I forgot I had. Comic Books in America, 1945 to 1954. I put all these books up on shelves after the move, and they're all in not any real organization. They're not organized. And I need to go back through and pull out all my books on comic books and comic book history and get them all together. I also need to get quite a few new bookshelves, big bookshelves, because I got a lot of books just piled up, because there were a bunch of bookshelves that I had at the old house in Texas that we just didn't have room in the vans to bring here, and they were just particle board, and they were perfectly acceptable for holding the books. But we thought, well, we'll get better bookshelves when we get to Pennsylvania, where we're living here on Kensington Avenue. I was very proud to go vote for Fetterman the other day. That's one thing I did Tuesday, is voted for all the wonderful people. I don't really live in Pennsylvania. I'm making that up. Can you believe Fetterman? That's unbelievable, man. This is like we're living in, seriously, go back and watch the Mike Judge movie, Idiocracy, now. We're living it now. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's Hanna-Barbera's Pebbles Flintstone. This book, I would see it and I would go, ugh, because I thought my Pebbles Flintstone doll was lost. For months, I was gnashing my teeth over it, and then it turned up inside a Lily Munster model kit box that I thought was empty. And I found the Lily Munster model. It's together, but it's not painted. I haven't finished painting it. I need to bring it up from the basement, because now I've got paints to paint with. I'm running out of white, though, the color white. You ever heard of that color? I'm running out of it, you know. I have to explain to you that white is a color. It's like, what's wrong with me? Yeah, this is, but yeah, man. This is Davy Crockett. Yeah, well. So, waiting to see it takes them real long to count the votes, you know. They're so we're waiting to see what happens. And with Carrie Lake in Arizona, Carrie Lake is amazing. You ever hear her talk? She's this beautiful anchor woman that just quit on the air. She says, I can no longer lie to you. I do not want this job anymore. And thank you, Fox, for 20 years. And then she ran for governor of Arizona. And, you know, for the last several days, she was like 0.4 of a point behind this someone named something Hobgoblin, and then, or Hobbs or something, and then now they're saying she's 1.4, 1 4/10 of a point behind this woman, and but they've been saying that for 3 or 4 days, and they're taking forever counting the votes. The thing is, they've been telling she'd been telling her voters, if you get these ballots in the mail, deliver them on voting day, deliver them on, and so all these votes that have showed up on voting day, they're thinking they're going to be Republican votes, and that all of a sudden she's going to zoom up. But anyway, she's something else. I hope because she's merciless on the press, and because she used to be one of them, and that will be a lot of fun to watch what happens. But anyway, looks like the Republicans are going to wind up taking the House of Representatives, and the Senate is still, like, it could go either way. They were thinking it was going to be a devastating red wave, and the Republicans were going to, but, you know, there's things happen. Here's Uncle Wiggily and his friends. Uncle Wiggily and his friends. This is quite a spectacular book. Very beautiful colors in this. Yeah, I got this at Half Price Books, didn't I? Yes, I did. Oh, well, I think this is British. No, Plaid and Monk Publishers, New York. Anyway, Uncle Wiggily. Spectacular. Whew. Oh, here's a bunch of comics without covers. Or they're covers that have, you know, had the titles torn off to return, so they can get money back. These were all bought in the drugstore on the town square, 2 blocks from here, that is now a barbecue restaurant where possibly I will obtain food at 5 o'clock this evening. But it used to be a drugstore that carried comic books, and these were all from like right around 1971. So, fascinating. Here's what's in here? Oh, these are that's my brother in Tacoma, Washington. Back when I was in 5th grade, he was in college and he was visiting. He was very proud of this gorilla mask. And that's my brother Steve as a baby. He passed away. He was in the Army, and then he worked for a Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, and then he passed away about 10, 12 years ago. This castle we visited when we lived in Germany, that's the castle that Disney bases the castle on, and if you see the movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, this castle is in that. It was built in the 1860s, right about the time of our Civil War. That's the Heidelberg Castle lit up at night. My brother, Steve, that you just saw in the monkey mask, he graduated graduated high school in 1972 while we were still in Germany, and their graduation ceremony was in Heidelberg Castle. This postcard I got when we were in Germany, and it does something, as I recall. It's a Hansel and Gretel thing, but they did this stuff where you can pick it up. How does it work? Oh man, how does this work? Oh, you have to lift this up. I don't want to damage it. Oh, you lift it up, and then there's something underneath, and it looks like I drew a picture when I was 6 or 7 years old, probably 6 years old there. And here I am learning. Excuse me, guys. That's me learning my ABCs. Look at that. I was part of the first of the Sesame Street generation. Sesame Street started when I was 4. So this is what Sesame Street Children's Television Workshop taught me. They would have all kinds of things like this in Germany, like for Christmas and stuff. Things where you'd have a calendar of the whole month of December, and every day you'd open it up and there'd be something underneath it. I don't know if it was like a little candy or something like that. That's like something culturally that's done in Germany that we don't really know about here. This is like someone recreating, I guess, Jamestown, because then after we lived in Germany, we lived in Virginia. Looks like you've got a lot of postcards in here. Look at that German house. I got a lot of postcards in here from when I was a kid. One thing about the past is when Holiday Inn got rid of these beautiful signs, these beautiful neon signs that glowed and sparkled, that was a real shame, and that was part of the decline of our society. In Virginia, this hotel had been there for many years. We stayed in it when we first moved there before we got our townhouse that we were renting, and it's really spectacular. And now I think it's an old folks home, but I remember staying there, and the whole lobby had stores in it. There was a bookstore, a magazine rack, and that's where I bought The Mad that had the parody of the Poseidon Adventure. I remember buying it in the lobby of that place. Another place that we lived was Tacoma, Washington, and that's the Space... No, that's not the Space Needle. That's the Tower of Americas, the Hemisphere Tower in San Antonio. We lived in San Antonio. We went from Germany to Virginia, back to San Antonio. I had been born there, and then we went to near Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. There's a lot of empty space in the back of here where I could put other postcards. Let's see. There's a Betty Page postcard. They were selling this postcard into the 70s, long after she'd stopped being a pinup. There's a postcard of Dita Von Teese back when she first started, and Raquel Welch. This is my Hedy Lamarr. When I first saw her in an antique store in Longview, Texas, this is what she looked like in the mid-1990s. When I first saw her, she had been in a wax museum, and they'd gotten all these figures from a wax museum that had closed, but that's the way she looked in that little antique store. And Hedy Lamarr's birthday, I think, was 2 days ago. She isn't just a beautiful movie actress. She pretty much is the reason we have cell phones. I mean, she was there. She was. Imagine if you were in an antique store and you saw that in the background. And I paid it off, I think, over 2 months, and that's the way her makeup was. I think my wife has redone her makeup a little bit to make it look a little better. I took pictures. There was also a Jean Harlow that didn't have any clothes. I mean, she looked like that, and she was reclining like she was sitting on a couch. And I bought that too, but I gave that away to a girlfriend at the time, so I don't have that. So this was another wax figure they were selling. Look how terrifying that looks. And then they had Jackie Kennedy and her kids at the funeral, you know, and they looked pretty busted up. Oh, I should have gotten, you know, in retrospect, I should have gotten more of them, but, you know, what can I say? Here's the Donny Osmond puppet that was on the Hypnotic Eye with the Marie Osmond puppet. These pictures are all from the 1990s, and all of these things survived the move. And oh, here's a picture of me. All these 1970s pictures turn colors. They used some kind of pigment in the 70s. Anyway, that's me on Christmas morning of 1972. And I got my Bert puppet and my Frankenstein trash can that I love so much that's downstairs. But it's another picture of me with my Oscar the Grouch puppet that you have seen on here on this show. That was in Virginia. And there's the television in the background where I first saw the Munsters and Leave It to Beaver. Oh, some more pictures of me on Christmas morning. I put on a little weight since then. Here's some more pictures of me as an elementary school kid. And then I got glasses, and that was the end of my popularity. It's amazing how shallow people are. Here's some more pictures of me as a little kid. Now, when it snowed, and you know, in Seattle or Tacoma, Washington, it only snowed. It didn't snow much, but one time it did snow, and my brother built this snowman, and look at all the snowballs around him. You know, he's like ready to fight. And another picture of my brother in front of the house that we lived in on the base at Fort Lewis, Washington. He was going to school down in Arlington, Texas, where my dad would ultimately retire the next year. But this is the 75, 76 school year, when the bicentennial train came. This is when Return to the Planet of the Apes was on Saturday morning TV, and you know, all that. So there's my brother. It was beautiful when the sun was out, but the sun didn't come out very often there. Yeah. Here I am graduating. I guess I'm graduating college. I guess so. That's what I'm talking about. That used to be on every highway. You'd see these beautiful signs, and I can't tell you how gorgeous they were, and what a shame it is that how they decided they're just too much to keep up with. Yeah, I love it. So I used to, you know, when we'd stay in hotels or motels, I'd always get the postcards and save them. And yeah, so we went to some cool castles when we lived in Germany on weekends. We were living on the base, but we would go to some of these castles. It was really neat. Let's go downstairs. I've got enough charge on my phone that I can be mobile. Oh. Okay, so anyway, Marie Severin's always been one of my favorite artists, and there's some great interviews. One that's been put up rather recently on YouTube of Marie Severin, and also Ramona Fredone. Now Marie Severin, she had a lot of fun drawing. I think probably my favorite comic book of all time, the one that means the most to me, is not Brand Echh number. I don't know what number it is. It's the one that has a parody of the origin of the Fantastic Four and of Superman. It's the Fantastical Four and I think Stuperman. Oh man, my recording stopped. Because Maurice Severin did the art, and Tom Sutton inked the art, and it was just gorgeous. And I first saw it in a reprint in a comic book that Marvel put out, and called Crazy, around 1973. Anyway, so I'll show you the paintings I'm doing for Captain Strangelove. Now this is not finished, and if you could give me polite ideas down below, if you think that there's still some little touches I could do to make it better, that's great. I mean, don't tear me apart, because I'm not Frank Rosetta. But let's see here. This is a painting of Cthulhu. Now, I'm not an authority on Lovecraft, but if you look online, you'll see that someone must have asked H.P. Lovecraft to draw a sketch of his idea of what Cthulhu looked like. So if you look online and search a little bit, you can find a drawing that H.P. Lovecraft drew of Cthulhu sitting on kind of a throne, kind of from the side, or sitting on a big square rock with like runes or letters written on it. But everybody that draws or paints Cthulhu draws him with two eyes, but H.P. Lovecraft, there were three eyes, and either you're seeing the side, because he wasn't a really good drawing, because he was a writer, not an artist, but it had three eyes, and if it was the side of his head, then that means that that Cthulhu had six eyes. And so, but I don't see anyone ever drawing him that way. So I want it to be recognizable as Cthulhu based on how we normally think of him. So that's why I did that. And so I don't know what you guys think. I don't know that in his actual text of the stories whether he ever really said how many eyes Cthulhu had, but in his drawing there were at least three, depending on whether he's turning his head looking straight at us or you're looking at the side of his head. And then the one with Basket Case meets Little Shop of Horrors. Captain Strangelove sent me a tripod, and I've been using it, and now I think it might be I can't find it right now. So today's show is the first one I've done in over a month or so without a tripod, so the camera worked. Boy, my nose is red from my cold that I've been having. Anyway, so this is the painting here. I don't know. Let's see. Let me know what I think I can do some touch-ups here and there and make it look better. But the worst thing is when you get something that looks pretty good and then you go in to try to fix it and then you wind up screwing it up. There's sometimes you can overdo a painting, and so I think both of these kind of, for my skill level, look pretty good right now. So I think they're almost done. The comic he sent me is worth at least $300, possibly more, in that condition, because I saw one in 1.5 on my comic book mycomicshop.com selling for, I think, over 100. So anyway, so you know, I want to give him his money's worth, and I'd love to do paintings. I've been starting to get back into painting, and I'm enjoying it. And I got this whole box of paints. But if you, I've been recording all this music off of YouTube. And so what I've done is, what I do, I have an old DVD recorder. It only has RCA inputs in the back. I don't think it has an HDMI. Anyway, what I do is I have a Roku, and I'm playing YouTube, and then I have the HDMI comes out of the Roku, right, and it goes into a box that converts HDMI to RCA plug signal, and then the red and white RCA plugs go into the back of this older DVD recorder. And then I record on a blank DVD-R in 6-hour speed, so I can get 6 hours of music from YouTube. And then I can make these collections of music that are amazing. And so I've got this. If you ever look at my channel and you go down and look at my playlist, I've got, like every month I have a, like here's music November 2022, and these are a bunch of records that I've found on YouTube this month so far, and then I'll record them. Some of these on CD would be like $25-$30 sometimes, and then but you're getting them free on YouTube, so you're saving quite a bit of money. I used to buy so many CDs, and now I don't. I guess nobody buys them anymore. But if you just expect this stuff to always be there on YouTube, it may not be. So that's why I want to record it. And then I found something recently that my friend Joe Riley, who passed away, man, I don't know how many years ago it was, back when MySpace was still the dominant social media. So that dates it. My friend Joe Riley, that was an amazing artist and sculptor and special effects guy, and did the Hypnotic Eye TV show. He used to do something on VHS that now I notice other people doing on YouTube. And he would get old cartoons from the 60s, like the Herculoids, and then he'd get old commercials from the 60s, and then he'd make a long tape with the old cartoons, and then he'd put the old commercials in the station break to try to make it completely feel like you're watching television on Saturday morning in 1966 or 67. You'd have all original commercials, and he was basically restoring the experience of watching television then. And now I notice there's more than a few people on YouTube that are recreating Saturday mornings from 1977 or 1974 or 1968 from different networks. Like, this is the NBC lineup in 1976 or whenever, and they'll have the cartoons and they'll put in commercials. And I've been watching that lately. One guy does it every Saturday morning. He does it live and hosts it. And so if you just type in, Saturday morning cartoons and then put in a year, you can find these people that are doing it. And it's interesting. My friend kind of started, he was just ahead of his time. while I'm down here, I probably should show you those Werewolf by Night comics that I was starting to show you last time. Let's see what the weather looks like outside. It's the leaves have all fallen. The trees are now barren, and it's cold. It's not going to get much above the mid-30s for the rest of the week. Maybe it'll snow this week. That'll be cool if it does. I don't dread snowing because it's a two. I mean, I used to, because if the weather was bad and they didn't cancel work, that was like something I dreaded. But in the old days when I lived in Texas, but here, if it snowed, and I don't think it hasn't really snowed that much in recent years here, according to people that have lived here. But if it does, it's couple of blocks to work. It's one block to the supermarket and get to the town square. Everything's walking distance. The restaurants, everything. So I can function if everything shuts down. I gotta blow my nose. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. And I need to comb my hair because I'm realizing I'm starting to look like Gumby. So, yesterday, I was sad to hear that Kevin Conroy passed away. Kevin Conroy was the voice of Batman in the 1990s Fox animated Batman series, which was the best adaptation outside of comics of Batman ever, and was right up there with Johnny Quest and the Fleischer Superman as best adventure cartoon ever, and as far as on television, right up there, you know, Johnny Quest and that Batman animation, it was just great. And we forget how great it was with what they've done since then that wasn't as good, like not saying they were bad, but the Superman animated series, and there was a Justice League one, and there've been a lot of these ones in recent years that were done in that Bruce Timm style, but the original series was phenomenal. When it premiered, there'd never been anything like that, and it was so respectful to the source material, and it was just great. There was one episode where Bruce Wayne wakes up and his parents are still alive and he's engaged to Selina Kyle. He was never Batman. She was never Catwoman. He has this perfect life. Then he wakes up and realizes that the whole thing was that he's all hooked up to machinery by the Scarecrow, and this was all programmed into his head. And as I recall, he beats the hell out of the Scarecrow. It's just it was just one of those really poignant, beautiful episodes. Okay, so I just put in a DVD, so it shows that I have 6 hours and 5 minutes to record on. So let's see. I'll start recording some music. Let's see. I'll start recording some doo-wop music. That'll be good. All right. So, this is a CD that's been put up, the golden era of doo-wops. So maybe I should head upstairs before copyright infringement gets me. I'll just turn the sound down. Yeah, because Well, this Wakanda Forever looks shitty, doesn't it? I've seen some people are some people probably in Indonesia or somewhere are putting up like giant 5-minute clips of the movie with subtitles in some foreign language, and they were up last night where you can see the quality of the final fight between the Submariner and his people and the people of Wakanda. You can see what kind of movie you're dealing with, and and Disney didn't pull them down quick enough. I'm surprised, and it looks so bad. The CGI looks terrible, and you know, not to spoil them. I don't think anyone that watches my show watches any of these Disney Marvel movies. They've completely beaten it out of me where I care about any of the movies. I've always loved the Submariner and all that, and they've killed off the Black Panther. Like, well, because the actor that played the Black Panther died, they have to kill off the character, and so they bring in the Submariner, and some character named Riri Williams or Rerun or some, I don't know, that I don't know anything about. This Iron Man suit she wears looks ridiculously bad, and what was the deal? If you fast forward about a minute on right now, if you don't want to hear spoilers, but you know, apparently Black Panther's little sister, who has to become Black Panther after they feed her some purple goop, causes Submariner to take a knee to her after she cuts off his fucking ankle wings. So he gets cucked. He's, you know, that was a cool character. You got to trust me. Apparently he says Imperious Rex, even though I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Apparently the conquistadors or whatever came in and were killing the Aztec people. So some Aztec god or Mayan god or something came along and gave them the ability to live underwater so that they would be protected from the Spanish conquistadors. I think that's the story that they have come up with for this 3-hour film, which I have no interest in seeing. If it was on free tonight on Disney Plus, I don't think I'd even have any interest. I'd rather watch Carrie Lake or whatever her name talk. Or anyway, whatever. Let's look at Werewolf by Night. God damn it. He's still there? Yeah. Okay, damn it. Where is my damn tripod? I never realized how much I needed that tripod till Captain Strangelove sent that to me. Now, where the hell? I moved some furniture. That's maybe what happened. It may be under this damn couch. Could it be under this? I don't know. I got it. I'll find it by next episode. Yeah, so I've been getting ready for Christmas, digging up stuff. I had to close these curtains because it was letting sun out, sun in. It seems like in Texas, the sun would always rise there and it would set there. But here, up north, more north, the sun was always the same way. But now at this time of the year, it's like a little bit more over there. And because the sun that used to come in straight now comes in at an angle in the morning and at the night and in the evening. So you have the curtains adjusted just right where it's keeping the sun out from hitting your posters and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's creeping in at a different angle, and it's so I have to readjust everything. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Man alive. How about I put it on the floor? Maybe that'll work. I don't think it will, but no, that won't work. Shit. I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do. So anyway, everything sucks except these old comics and these old records and old movies. But then, yeah, everything pretty much sucks. You just wonder when the American people are going to wake up. I mean, people actually voted for John Fetterman. I mean, but I guess if you just watch mainstream media, they don't really show you that the guy is basically a drooling Uncle Fester looking. I mean, you know that he looks that way, and you probably think that's cool that he doesn't look like a typical politician, but the guy's like saying, the Eagles are better than the Eagles. And he's saying, it's like, or he'll say, hello, good night. You know, it's like a Beatles song. You say hello, and I say, good night. Good night, everybody. It's like, he had a stroke, and I don't mean to minimize that. But can someone be in the Senate that functions like that? I don't know. Well, obviously he can. I'll just take this box upstairs, and then I'll prop the phone up the way I had it. Except the elevator's not on this level, so I'll just... trying to convince my wife to start her YouTube channel. We might start it and do an episode tonight. She has the potential to create a really big channel. I don't think I'm going to ever have more than 500-600 subscribers. I don't know that it's possible, because my personality is such, I hate everything. And then I'm always going to wind up pissing someone off with my politics, or by making fun of slabbing of comics, when that's such a sacred practice for so many people to buy their 9.8 key issues and slab them. People love that. But anyway, she can do some, I mean, she could wind up with thousands of subscribers, because she has, she can do things that are very innovative that haven't been done on YouTube. Or actually, could she do it? She might have to do it on Rumble. But here's the thing. There are lots of women and some guys that do makeup channels that show vintage makeup, and they show all this makeup and cosmetics, you know, and that's real interesting to a primarily female audience. But now there are people, girls, that do these channels where they do their makeup, and they start, what do they call it, clean, without any makeup, and then they put on their makeup and transform themselves into looking like Morticia or some movie star while they're talking to you. But there's some that will tell, God, look at these dark rings. I need makeup to hide that. I haven't been sleeping right. I think there's one named Bailey Sarian, and I don't think she's the only one that does this. As she puts on her makeup, she'll tell you a true crime story that she's researched and written and read books about and knows all the details. And she'll tell you the story of H.H. Holmes or Ted Bundy or something. And you'll have the whole career of some serial killer and what happened, everything, while she's putting on her makeup. And some women like that stuff, especially the more morbid goth types, But, my wife could do the makeup and combine it with, she can talk about stuff that, not just politics, but life and all kinds of stuff. I think that women would flock to her channel. And maybe some of you guys watch it too. I think she would be quite entertaining and funny. I'll give you the link to it when and if we ever get it started. But she's got tons of stuff upstairs in the attic that she could impress you with. All right. So we were about to look at Werewolf by Night last episode. We just finished looking at Weird Western Tales. It says, person seen, front door doorbell. It was probably someone walking their dog. Okay, so Werewolf by Night was one of my favorite comics when I was a kid. I have all the early Marvel Spotlight Werewolf by Night comics, but they're in a different box. The very first appearance of Werewolf by Night in Marvel Spotlight #2, I have that and all the other issues. Although, technically, I think the first appearance of Werewolf by Night was in a 50s horror comic, because there was a story called Werewolf by Night in one of those pre-code Marvel timely horror books. I don't know which one. So whether or not people want to consider that the first appearance, I don't know. But anyway, and the same thing with the zombie from Tales of the Zombie. There was a zombie in the pre-code horror. So those are both characters that have a little more history. Neither of them really did start in the early 70s. But for some reason, I don't have the first 2 issues of Werewolf by Night. I must have started with 3. This is not one I got as a kid. It is one I got later. Because my comics wouldn't be that dirty. And looks like this has been chewed on by some little varmint. And that's not typical of my comics. Here's, this one was my first issue of Werewolf by Night that I bought on the newsstand. Other than those Marvel Spotlights. And here's #6, also a childhood copy. I still haven't watched the Werewolf by Night on Disney Plus, the Werewolf by Night special, because I'm so disenchanted with the the state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just figure, what would be the point? This is now I'm going to switch this bag out because Captain Strangelove gave me a bunch of bags. Shit. That wasn't me. That was Drew the dog. Just walked by. You can hear her claws tapping on the floor. She just her tail caught the cord, and because I'm plugged into the, and knocked the phone on the floor. So you have the experience of falling. This is the interior. She's going to probably do it again. Look at this. This is how wonderful comic books used to be. Unbelievable. This had a guest artist, Werner Roth. Anyway, so I have all these bags and boards that Captain Strangelove was getting rid of because he no longer wants to use these bags that need to be taped. He uses those mylights too, which he cuts and then just slips in. Or anyway, so that's that. Here's Werewolf by Night 9. I remember buying this in San Antonio. By this point, we were living in San Antonio. So this is also a childhood copy, which will now be protected by a bag from Captain Strangelove. Damn. Tom Sutton. Oh, you magnificent bastard. Tom Sutton was the guy that inked the Marie Severin art